And Sarah, what is your full name?
Sarah Jane,
And what's your age?
78.
And
87. I
87.
made a mistake.
And when were you born? Do you remember?
Yeah, 78.
78.
April the 7th, 78.
And where?
Oh, somewhere in southwest Texas. I can't call the name.
You weren't born around Trickham?
Yeah, around Trickham.
Around Trickham.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your father's full name? Do you remember?
Eugene Williams.
And your mother's?
Martha Ann.
Martha Ann Wilson.
Wilson. Well, my mother was Martha Williams. Yeah.
Did your parents ever tell you anything about the history of their family, about where they came from?
Yes, they told me, but I just forgot.
Did they ever mention about your father coming from Wales, or his grandparents coming from Wales?
No. They come to Texas from
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky.
And you don't know whereabouts they came from there?
No.
Before there?
No, I don't.
Okay, how about your mother? Do you know where she came from?
No, I don't know where she came. I've heard her tell it, but I can't remember it.
You don't know anything about her family?
No, not very much.
Okay. How about your uncles?
I don't know a thing in the world about them.
Can you name them on your father's side?
On the father's side? Yes, Uncle Lark and Uncle Will.
What were their full names? Do you know?
Williams.
Just Larkin, that was it? Didn't have a middle name?
Lark Eugene Williams.
Larkin Eugene.
And I don't know Uncle Will's double name. He had one.
And were they older or younger than your father?
They was younger.
What's the first things you can remember about West Texas? How old were you when you first remember West Texas?
Well, I wasn't very old, I know, but I don't know exactly. I guess about 4. I think we come away from there when I was about 4.
Where did you go?
Come to Erath County, Texas.
Erath?
Uh-huh.
How old were you when you finally came to Oklahoma?
10 years old in the spring after I got there.
Do you ever remember having any Indian trouble?
Never did have no Indian trouble.
Had they already taken care of?
We rented from an Indian, but we never had no trouble.
What Indians did you rent from? Do you remember?
Oh, the Chickasaws.
That was after you came to Oklahoma?
Yeah.
How about in Texas? Did you ever
No, we rented. No, we didn't have no. Or my daddy did, but I don't remember it.
Did
Just
you ever
what
hear
he
him
said.
talk about it?
Oh, yeah.
What were
But
some?
I can't. I've heard him tell about them were killing them, and the Indians would come in there to kill people.
Was that in around Trickham?
Yeah, that's right around Trickham. Yeah.
Do you know how old he was when he got married, your father?
No, I don't remember.
Say he was 17.
I think he was older than 17. I think he was about 19.
Did he get married there in Texas, or was he married when he came to Texas?
Oh, he got married there in Texas.
In Texas.
After the war.
After the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know when he was born?
No, I don't remember what year he was born.
Was he?
He lived to be 78 years old.
Was he too young? He didn't fight in the war?
No, he didn't fight, but he was around there.
Do you know about approximately how old he was?
No, I just don't. I heard him say, but I just can't remember it.
How about, how old was he compared to your mother? Was he very much older than her?
Oh, she was a few days the oldest, I believe.
She was.
Uh-huh.
When did she pass away?
In 19 and 12.
And when did he pass away?
What?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Now your father remarried, and who did he remarry?
Well, Minnie Brizendine.
And she was from Tennessee.
From Tennessee.
Do you know what date they got married?
No, I don't. I was there, but I don't know what date it was.
How old were you when you came to Oklahoma?
About 10. It was Chickasaw Nation then.
Did you make your homestead up around Dixon, where Dixon is now?
No. Durwood. Yeah. We didn't ever buy nothing. My
Just-
daddy didn't.
You just rented from the Indians,
Yeah, just rented, leased, and rented too.
from the Chickasaws?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How long did you stay there then with your family before you left home?
Oh goodness, I stayed till I was 18.
Then that would have been about 1896.
Yeah, that's when it was.
And then where did you go from there?
Well, I stayed there when we had a lease.
We got married.
We got married and we had a lease. And we stayed right there close to where we was living.
And you lived there then around Darwood?
Yeah, lived there until 1906 is when we left.
Where did you go from there?
To New Mexico.
What part of New Mexico?
At Portales.
Portales. What did your husband do there?
They just farmed around and had stock.
Anything interesting happen out there or unusual?
No, I don't know of anything.
How long did you stay out there in
5
Portales?
years. 5 years.
And how come you to leave?
Well, we just decided we couldn't make enough there to raise our family on.
And then,
Go back where we could.
so you came back to Oklahoma?
Come back to Texas.
Whereabouts in Texas?
Clarendon, Texas.
And do you remember about?
And then there to Bryce, Texas.
Do you remember about what the date was when you came back to Texas?
No, I don't. It was on in September, though.
What year?
1911, I believe it was.
That's right, 1906 to 19. That'd been 5 years from 1906 to 1911.
Yeah.
So
And
then,
12's when we went to Bryce, I believe. Or right at the first of 13. I don't know whether it's New Year's Day or what.
so you farmed then in Texas too?
Oh, yeah. We always farmed till we come to Arkansas.
Okay, where did you go from Texas then?
We went to Neosho, Missouri.
What did you do there, farm too?
No, we run a second-hand store.
How many years did you stay there in the Osho?
2 years.
So about what years were these then? About,
Well, now we come here in 27. It's 25 and 26.
19,
We went there in 24.
so you went there in 1924 and you stayed there in 1925 and 1926.
Yeah.
And then you went where?
Well, we went over to Pitcher, Oklahoma and stayed 2 or 3 months.
What did you do there?
We run a filling station.
Pitcher, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Pitcher, Oklahoma. And then we come back down to, we had a shanty down at Wheeler Park. And then we come from there on down here, Arkansas.
Came then to DeQueen.
Yeah.
And what did you do in DeQueen?
Well, he wasn't very well and he didn't do anything till we bought this place out here, filling station and store.
So that was in 1927 and you've been here ever since.
Yeah, been here ever since. I think it's 37 years, the best I can count it.
Okay, and you stayed here and ran the store then until he passed away?
Yeah. Run the store till he passed away and then I sold my house and quit all of it.
Okay, now what was your husband's full name?
W.T. Weaver. Oh, his name was William Thomas.
Do you remember his birthday?
Oh yeah, 9th of January.
Do you know what year he was born?
I believe the best we counted up was 73.
That was 1873.
And he died in 70.
Can you name me your children and their names and their birthdays?
Well, I think so.
Well, let's give it a try then.
Well, Oliver's born October the 24th, now in 96. And Ada was born November the 9th, 1918 and 98. And Joe was born 1900, November the 16th. And Sylvia's born in 1903, January the 16th.
Do you know offhand how many grandchildren you have?
Yeah, grandchildren, I had 8.
Do you have any great grandchildren?
I've got 4, but I haven't seen but one of them.
Do you remember anything about Daddy when he was a little boy?
Why, yeah, sure. He was a good little old boy. We used to be chums together and fight like Turks.
How much older were you than he?
Well, I was just about a year and a half, I believe.
What did you all fight about?
Oh, just first one little thing and another.
Do you remember when he left home?
Oh, yeah.
Where did he go?
Well, I don't know. He went up into Oklahoma, western Oklahoma somewhere. I don't know exactly now.
How come him to leave?
Oh, just like all other boys, I reckon, just wanted to roam around. He didn't have nothing specially to leave about.
Did he go to music schools while he was still at home? Singing schools?
Oh, yeah, I think he did. I don't know for sure. Yeah, I know he did. Yeah. I did too.
Is that mostly the type of education that you got was just the singing schools, or did you go to regular schools?
Why, certainly I went to school.
How far did you get, and how far did he get?
Well, we wasn't graded, but I got as far as the United States history and the big geography. But I don't know what grades them was then. They didn't have us graded.
How far did he get?
About the same, I guess.
Did you ever hear any wild stories about him? Wild West tales or anything?
No, I never did.
Well, Aunt Nora was telling us one time about him getting accused of a bank robbery. Did you ever? Aunt Nora? Accused, yeah. Did you ever hear anything about that?
I don't believe there's anything to that. Bank robbery. I don't think there's anything to it.
Did you ever hear him say how he got his leg broke?
Yeah, he was working in the coal mines in Kansas.
And he was in a cave-in?
Yeah, in a cave-in. A big chunk fell on his leg. That's the way I understood it.
That's all he ever told you?
Yeah.
Do you know how old he was when he got his leg broke?
No, I imagine he's about 18. I don't know. I think so. That way, but I guess it was.
You know anything about his prison term? Why he was in prison or anything?
Well, the way I thought it wasn't bank robbery. I thought it was he was with a bunch that killed a man.
And where was this?
That was in western Oklahoma.
You know where in western Oklahoma?
No, I sure don't.
Was this when just after he left home when he was about 17?
Yeah, about 17, somewhere along there.
Do you know who the bunch was he was with?
I don't now. I knew their names then, but I don't now. I don't know one of them.
Do you know who possibly would know? Do you think Aunt Nora would know?
Oh, I doubt if she would.
Do you know what the circumstances were? I mean, why he was killed?
Now, he didn't say he didn't kill the man. He was with them, and they was going to shoot him again, and he begged them not to.
Do you know why they shot him at all? Why they?
I think, no, I don't know as I know.
Were they in a saloon or anything, or were they out in the open?
They was out, but they'd been into something, I don't know what now. It's been so long ago, and I've got so old that I just don't remember it.
Do you know, this must have happened then in about 1899?
No, and all them things, I haven't thought of it. Since then, I don't reckon.
Okay, what happened then? He was taken in. Do you know what jail he was in? What town?
Well, it was in Kansas, but I just, what is the pen in Kansas?
That would be Fort Leavenworth,
That's where he
but
was.
but where before that? Where was the trial held?
Well, the trial was held in western Oklahoma, where the deed was done. Oh, my husband and my father went.
Your husband and your father went to the trial. Did you hear them talk about it?
Yeah, but I don't know what they said now.
Do you remember whether they said it was a fair trial or whether it was a fixed trial or anything that
No,
happened?
I think it was pretty fair.
About how long was his term?
He had a nice time. They treated him nice, and he got to be out with families, you know, in their homes.
What happened to the men that were in this group with him? Did they get the same?
No, they got more than that. I don't know what went with them. I guess I knew, but I forgot. But they got a pretty good sentence.
So he was transported then directly after the trial to Fort Leavenworth?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he stayed there about how long?
I don't think it's more than a year.
And it was during this year that he was working in the coal mine and
Yeah.
chunk fell on his leg and broke it?
My mother had a warning. She put her iron skillet down on the stove one morning when it was cold, and it busted wide open. And about that day or the next, why, she got a letter that he had his leg broke. When he came home, why, he saw my sister. She was just make love to her, but found out his sister in a place of mine.
Did you ever hear him mention or anybody mention Bert Casey?
Oh, yes, I've heard him talk about it, but I just don't remember a thing about it. Yeah, we've heard it a lot and read it in the papers.
He was a pretty famous outlaw.
Yeah, pretty famous. Stayed 6 months in the pen, and then he stayed with the warden and his wife. And he helped her do all kinds of nice work, even pin the lace curtains down to the bed or floor, and everything like that. And he just really enjoyed it.
So he spent 6 months actually in the pen, and then he spent about 12 months then in the home of the warden.
I remember exactly how long he stayed in all.
What were the names of your aunts
Oh, on the Williams side?
on the Williams side?
Well, Aunt Tech, I don't know if she had a double name or not, and Aunt Syke.
And did you have any aunts on the Wilson side?
Yeah. I had Aunt Mary, and Priscilla, and Sarah, and Jenny.
And was your mother older or younger?
My mother and Aunt Mary was twins.
And were they older than Priscilla or younger?
They was younger.
All right, now can you give me the names and birthdays of your brothers and sisters?
Well, I might try it. My Alec's birthday, I don't know what date, but I know it was the 25th of June. And I don't know what year. And I just far back before I knew any years. And Lee and Priscilla was the 30th of March. And I don't know that date. I don't know any of the dates as I know of. And Lee was March the 19th. And they was all 2 years apart. And Willis is older than Oscar. Willis was the 5th day of June. And Oscar was the 3rd day of June. And Arthur was in September. I just can't forget what date. And Ollie was what? 18 and 91. And what date it? It was in February, but I just can't. 27th of February, that's when it was.
What race were your parents?
My daddy was Irish, and my mother was French.
Do you remember what they looked like, your parents and your grandparents?
Well, my daddy, well, there's very good-looking people. My daddy used to, he didn't of late years, wear a beard and mustache, but he got where he didn't wear that. And my Grandpa Wilson, I don't know him one time, come up from the river with a fish on his shoulder, it drug the ground. And I don't remember what he looked like.
And how about your mother? What did she look like?
My mother was, well, anybody that'd see me would know, but of course I just can't tell what she looked like.
What color hair did she have? Do you remember?
She had brown hair.
And her eyes, what color were they?
Blue eyes.
And about how tall were they? Do you remember that?
About 5 feet and 5 inches, I guess, something like that. They was just ordinarily.
They weren't exceedingly tall or small.
They wasn't tall nor low. They was just
And how about your uncles or your brothers and sisters? They're all about average.
medium, I guess, just medium size. Some of them was little and some was pretty big. My mother's father wore a long beard down. I can remember that just as well. And then we had his picture for years and years. Some of them's got it now, but I don't know who. And that's the only time I remember seeing him.
That was Grandpa Williams?
Yeah, Grandpa Williams.
Did you ever see Uncle Lark, before you came to Oklahoma?
No, I never remember seeing him. Don't guess I ever did.
Did you see any of your uncles before you came to Oklahoma?
Oh, yeah, I saw Uncle Will several times. He'd come down to Erath County to see us once.
Do you remember seeing your grandfather, Mukewater Bill?
What?
Mukewater Bill Williams? Didn't they call your grandfather Mukewater Bill Williams?
No, I don't remember nothing about that.
Do you remember when you first saw a Negro?
Yeah, I can remember it pretty well. It was right there in Trickham. I saw him coming one day and I crawled way back under the bed. And he come and paced up and down the floor. The lady, I was staying with the aunt, and she wasn't in. And I hid under the bed. That's the first nigger I'd ever seen, a nigger boy.
Do you ever recall of hearing anything about a bridle your grandfather supposedly made from an Indian that he had killed? An Indian skin that he had killed?
No, I don't remember that at all.
Do you remember him making bridles?
Yeah, he used to tan his own hides and strip them up and make halters and ropes and things like that. I've seen him do it a many a time.
Hear him talk about?
Oh yeah, I've heard him lots. He sat up and told that, and all the kids would be scared nearly to death. Just sat there and afraid to move.
Did your father ever tell you how he got to Texas?
Well, they come down to Louisiana in a boat, kind of down the Mississippi River, down to Louisiana in a boat. And my mother, her folks, before she was married, come down something, I don't know what it was. And the boat got to leaking, and the head man went down and patched it with a bacon rind.
Do you know how your father got to Texas from Louisiana? Did he come across land?
Oh, he come on land then and then went into Texas after they stayed there a while.
And he was traveling at that time with his father, or did he come on later?
No, he was just, yeah, he was traveling with the family. The whole family came to Texas. No, they don't know how they went from there, but they went on the boat down to Louisiana.
Now, Sarah, when you were moving up from Texas, right when you were 9 years old, you crossed the Red River at Gainesville, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that was a regular fording spot?
Yeah, that is a regular fording spot.
Were there a lot of families that crossed there?
No, not when we crossed.
You were the only one? And from there you went up to Darewood.
No, we went over there across the river a piece and picked cotton that fall.
And
Then we went on up to another place, Old Man Brown's place, I forget what they called it, and stayed there a while, and then we went on down on the Washita River and rented a place from the Hugheses.
okay, that was then when you were 10 years old?
Yeah, that is 10 years old.
Okay, then your family.
We made a farm. We farmed there for a year or two, and then we moved up to the Thomas farm, just a little ways. It was a nice big place. Big double log house and porch clear across the front and a hall.
When you entered Indian Territory, did you have to talk to the Indians before you came in, or was it just free passage?
Just free passage. We never saw Indians.
When you rented, did you have to build your own home, or was there homes already built?
Oh, when we rented, we of course got a house. We rented the house.
Well, when you leased from the Indians?
Well, we built our own house.
When you leased from the Indians, you built your own house?
Yeah.
Well, where did they move then from the Thomas farm?
We moved up to their lease farm.
And where was that?
Well, that was up there close to Darewood.
Darewood?
They're close to Darewood, I guess 2 miles.
Was that the only source of income?
Oh yeah, only what cows we raised, things like that, hogs. Raised our own meat and our own syrup, own garden and potatoes and everything that way. We had it at home.
And where did you take all this stuff to market?
We taken it to Ardmore.
Did you just have, was just an open market, or did you sell it to?
Open market. We didn't sell much. Just sold molasses and things like that around in the country.
What do you think was the hardest part about living in Indian Territory in 1896? Was it getting food, or getting water, or getting money, or what?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember any of it being so hard. We just went away to have like we do now, I guess.
Where did your parents move from Darewood?
They moved over at McGee. We've all did. We all lived over at McGee. We just lived a little piece apart. And he got peed one day, got in his buggy and drove away and never did come back.
That was your father?
Yeah, that's my father.
Do you remember about what year that was?
No, I don't. I could finally figure it out, I guess, but I don't know now. We didn't keep up with the times then like we do now.
Do you remember why he left? Any particular reason?
Nothing, only just mad, that's all I know.
And he never did come back?
Never did come back.
Did you ever see him again?
Oh, yeah. I've seen him lots of times. And he married again. I was there at his wedding.
Where was his wedding?
Up there at Clarendon, Texas.
I've heard you say that your father was a fiddle player.
Oh, yes. He's a violin player.
Did do you remember when he learned to play, or did he know?
Oh, I don't remember when he learned. He just knew it all when I remember.
Did he play for dances? And
Oh, yeah. Yes, he played for dances, played at home, and we as kids would all dance.
What happened to your mother after your father left?
Well, my brother, Pete, your daddy, kind of taken over and tended to him. And then they moved away. I don't know what was the name of the place where they moved, but they moved away. And then we moved to New Mexico.
Do you remember about how old Daddy was at this time?
Oh, I guess he was 20 or more.
And this was after he'd gotten back from Kansas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was after he got back.
Did you continue to farm, or did you start picking cotton, or what?
Oh, we farmed, but I don't think they did.
What did they do?
I don't know. I don't know what they done. The boys just worked out, you know. Of course, Ma didn't work.
How long did this continue? Did they just still live there?
No. They all busted up, and I don't know where they went to.
Was Oscar still at home? And the younger children?
Yeah, he's still at home.
On which one of the trips with the family did the wagon get bogged down in the South Canadian River?
Well, that's when they crossed at Gainesville. No, I'll take it back. That was the Canadian River.
Yes, and when did that happen? Where were they going?
They was going over there to old Potawatomi country, Oklahoma. Potawatomi.
They were going to Center,
No,
to the old Center.
no. They didn't live there.
Was your father? He was still at home then, wasn't he?
Yeah, long time after that.
Was he going to pick cotton this time?
Who?
Your father?
No, they were moving.
They were moving.
Moved to Potawatomi County.
So they left from Durwood and went to Potawatomi country, and then they moved to Old Center. Which
Durwood's in old Potawatomi country.
Durwood's in
No, not Durwood.
Durwood's in the Chickasaw Nation, isn't it?
Warnett's in old Potawatomi country. Durwood's in Indian Territory, and it wasn't counties then. I don't know what the county is now.
Can you remember what they said about the crossing of the river? What happened?
And then it struck a sink place and just sunk, the wagon did. And there's enough men around there that got the family all out. Carried my mother out.
Were you along at this time?
No, I wasn't there. I done married and left behind.
Was Daddy at home at that time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was there.
I guess in the wagon there was Uncle Oscar and
Yeah,
Uncle Willis
and Ollie. And Priscilla. She's always at home. She never did marry. Or an Oscar. Oscar never did marry.
so they got enough people to help them pull a wagon out of the quicksand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got it out and built a big bar and dried themselves. Then went on up to Wanette.
What did they do in Wanette?
They farmed. They didn't live in town.
Was there any particular crop that they specialized in?
No, it's just cotton and corn and potatoes and stuff like that.
Could he make a very good living on growing these corn and cotton?
Yeah. We raised potatoes for the market there too. Ours potatoes. Would come and stay all night with us.
That was on the Thomas farm?
Yeah, that was on the Thomas farm.
All the Indians were always real friendly.
Yeah, they didn't look like Indians. They were just part Indians.
And from Durwood they went to Potawatomi country at Wanette. And from Wanette they went to Old Center. And from Old Center they moved up to where Oil City is today.
Yeah, that's right.
And in Oil Center Daddy was kind of the head of the family at that time.
Yeah, I believe that's when it was. I'm not sure. It's been so long I just can't remember.
Did Daddy move the family anymore after moved to where Oil?
They all separated. But now I think Willis taken over. Now when she got burned, Willis and Oscar and her was living together.
Who was this that got burned?
My mother.
How was that?
Well, she's building a fire in her stove, and she thought it was out and poured in some more coal oil, and it exploded. And just run up her dress and burned her arms, and that's what killed her. She lived a long time.
Was she bedridden after that?
Yeah, bedridden all the time.
And Willis was the head of the family at this time.
No, Willis wasn't married.
Willis was at home.
Yeah, he's making a crop at home. Had the best corn crop. Oh, he hated for us to go out there and pull them big long ears. We thought we ought to hunt it out the little ones.
Then Daddy and the rest of the family, except for
And he come and had money to help her out.
how long after the fire did she pass away?
Till he come?
No, was it that she passed away?
Oh, I don't remember when she was burned, but it was after August before she passed away. I guess it was 2 months.
Where was Daddy when the fire occurred?
And he was just off working, I don't know where.
How many of the kids came home?
Well, I guess about all of them. I lived at Clarendon, Texas. We was farming up there, and I got on the train and went. Had to go through Fort Worth and Dallas and into Ada and get a delivery team wagon and take me out. Only time I ever did get a delivery outfit to take me into work.
Was everyone still at home when she passed away, or did everyone have to go back to work?
I wasn't there. I don't know that all of them was still there. Ollie and Pete and Willis and Oscar and Ollie.
Then after she passed away, then everybody just kind of split up?
Oh, yeah.
Whole family just split
Yeah,
up?
they just split up. Went their ways. They was all grown.
How about your father? Did he hear about the fire, or did he come
But
back?
he was done and married.
So he didn't come back?
No, he didn't come back. Well, we didn't know it till it was over with. I
You-
never went.
Do you know where he was living when the fire occurred?
He was living in New Mexico, I believe it was.
You know what part of New Mexico?
Yeah, down south of Patalas.
Which one of your brothers was the first to get married?
Alec was the oldest. He was the first and got married.
Were you living in Oklahoma when he got married?
Yeah, I was living in the Chickasaw Nation.
Who did he marry?
Married Amanda Copeland.
Can you name their children?
Oh, yeah, Dennis and Violet and Eugene and Jasper and Charles.
Who was the next to get married?
Let me see, I got married before Alec did. Yeah, I was already married when Alec married.
And who was then after Uncle Ellick who got married?
Well, Nora got married and she married a Lewis. And they had 2 girls. Then he just one day just went away and they never did hear from him.
Do you remember what her children's names were?
Oh yeah, Bertha and Goldie.
Lewis was an Indian?
They only was a 16th part Indian.
That was the children, or was Lewis? Lewis was an egg.
Lewis was a 16th part.
Who was the next to get married after Aunt Nora? Uncle Willis married Mary Jane Ingle.
Yeah. I just never saw her but one time in my life.
And how long did they live together?
Until she died.
And when was that?
I don't know.
And they had 6 children, and 2 of them died, and the 4 that lived, names were Jesse, J.D., Elmer, and Ida Mae. Who was the next to get married?
Well, that was Ollie, my sister. And she ran off. Her and the boy was running off, and they got in the cornfield, and we just hunted and run all up and down around them rows and tried to find them, but they finally got away from us and run off and got married. But they didn't live together long. He wasn't good to her, carried her off to Arkansas and left her, and she come back home. And then finally, she married a man with the name of J.V. Williams, and they got along pretty good.
Do you remember what their first husband's name was?
I don't.
Where were you when Aunt Ollie got married?
I was living down there close to McGee.
That was the first time she got married.
Yeah.
And where were you the second time she got married?
Still out in there. I don't know exactly what place, but I was still out in the west, where I've always lived since I was a kid.
Who was the next to get married?
Well, I guess it was Arthur. He was the youngest boy.
Who did he marry?
I don't know her last name.
Okay. The next to get married was Uncle Lee, who married Aunt Mert at Westheimer's store in Ardmore in 1912. Daddy was the next to get married. He got married in 1916 at Hilton, Oklahoma. When did Aunt Nora remarry?
Well, it must have been about July the 30th, somewhere along there, because
And what year was this?
1906,
And who did she marry?
Mr. Boland. I don't, Jim, I never did know his name. Jim, I reckon.
Where did they live then?
Well, that's down there close to the center, wasn't it? Yeah, close to the center down there. That's where they lived.
What were the names of their children?
Lloyd and Floyd and Roy and Johnny, Pauline and Lodine.
Your father wasn't a singer, he was just a fiddle player?
Yeah, he's just a violin player. And, well, he could sing some of the old love songs and things like that.
Uncle Lee then and Daddy were the best singers in the family.
Yeah, they're the best singers besides myself. I sing alto.
And what did Daddy sing?
He sang tenor and Lee bass.
And when did they go to these music schools?
Oh, this way back when we was 16, 17 years old, oh, back there. 18.
Did Uncle Lee and Daddy ever teach music?
Oh, Lee did, but Pete never. I know of.
Did he teach regular formal music? Whereabouts were these schools?
All over Oklahoma, I don't know just exactly the places now. I forgot them.
Was he a pretty famous music teacher?
Oh, yeah, he was a good one. I guess he knew everything about it.
How old were you when Uncle Lee was teaching music?
Well, I guess I was about 26, on up to 30.
You were about 26 when he started?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when you and Daddy were baptized into the Baptist church?
Yes, I can remember it, but not too much about it. I know there was 19 of us baptized that day, just strung out in the Washita River. And it was up a little bit. We just barely could stand on the bottom.
Was this up north of Durwood?
I don't know exactly where we were. I don't know. Everybody bragged on how good I looked. I never said a word about the rest of them. And I felt like I just fly away to heaven.
How old were you?
I reckon I was about 16. Lee was baptized into the Church of Christ that same day. That's my brother. Always was held to the Church of Christ. He didn't. One time he joined the Baptist, stayed in it a while, but it went right back to the Church of Christ.
When was that?
Well, I don't know when it was, but he done it anyway.
Do you remember what religions your parents were?
Well, my daddy belonged to the Free Will Baptist first, and mother belonged to it too. And then mother joined the Church of Christ, and daddy joined the Holiness. Boy, he'd get out on the floor and dance a jig and talk the unknown tongue. I went down there to church one night, and I got tired of it, and I just got right out and walked clear across that town by myself home.
What town was this?
That was Cache, Oklahoma.
What church had you been to?
Been to the Holiness.
Did you see your father there?
Yeah, they was having foot washing. There's one of them, you know, kind of mixed with the Holiness, with the Free Will Baptist. They wash feet.
When was it that your father changed religions from the Free Will Baptist to the Holiness Church? Where were you living?
He was living there at Cache. I don't know what date or nothing, but he's living at Cache, Oklahoma. So after he married, and he married Minnie Brizendine.
This concludes the interview with Aunt Sarah Jane Weaver. This interview was conducted in 1965 on October 14th and 15th and was made while visiting in her home in DeQueen, Arkansas.